4, 3,
2, 1.
Put everything down and crank your speakers up.
It's time for
The Realest Podcast.
Oh yeah!
We got us a new world champion! And what is going on, guys? You're listening to the Realest Podcast, and welcome to June 26, 2017's Monday Night Raw review. Joined by Andrew Vest, as always, and Blake Carter. To update everybody on why we didn't have a show on SmackDown, there was, even though it's a tropical storm, people that know what these storms can do, I was preparing for it just in case worst case scenario came along with getting water, stuff like that, preparing for if anything negative was to happen. Andrew was also really busy with doing what he was doing and being the head of, what was it? I don't know, I don't want to just say teaching stuff and be like...
Yeah, it's New Jersey Boy State. Like, I was basically in charge of my city and, like, running the day-to-day operations.
Yeah, so we were both very busy, and we thought that it would be best to not put out a review, or not a review, but, basically us talking about wrestling when, for one, we both really didn't get to watch it all, and two, it would be us, so... But... Tonight's Monday Night Raw, first hour wasn't that bad at all.
No, I would say overall tonight's Raw was pretty decent in terms of the content that they put out. I mean, you had everything you really needed, with like Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar coming to a head again.
Absolutely, and first off, Roman Reigns getting thrown into an ambulance was great. But a lot of people, I know that as of right now, and I'm sorry if you hear mic noise or me moving my mic, there's multiple rumors going out right now. One rumor is that, and this is the big one, is that Roman Reigns will be facing Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. They're wanting to kind of get this over with because the ratings being down, and they feel like part of the reasons why the ratings are down is because the Universal Champion is not on television week by week. I don't agree with that. Because NXT is a perfect example. Even though NXT is an hour, your NXT champion is not on the show every single week. And yet, ratings are still, NXT is still a great brand. By the way, congratulations to Mauro Ranallo for being the voice of NXT.
Yeah, how about that? Like, I never thought that he was coming back after, the whole situation.
Neither did I. I really didn't think so either. I honestly expected a lot of bad blood to come out of that, and it's great to see him. I know that he's really going to enjoy it, for one, because he is going to be having a good schedule. That is the big thing, is that his schedule will actually, NXT tapings, they usually, in one taping, they can do a month of television. So,
right.
Him doing Bellator MMA, he's also going to be doing the Floyd Mayweather-Conor McGregor fight for Showtime.
Dude, we need to cover that. I'm not even kidding. Dude, I am so excited for this match. Like, seriously excited. I cannot wait for those two to go head to head. I said it all at Boy State, like when we were getting together with all the students there. That was like the number one topic at the dinner table there. It was like, all right, who's gonna win, Mayweather or McGregor? And both of those guys have really like taken over their respective brands, like with Conor McGregor with UFC and Floyd Mayweather with boxing. So, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when those two come together.
Ask you this, and I want everybody in the chat, because I'm going to throw all my logic here. Who do you think wins, Conor McGregor or Mayweather?
In all honesty, I want to say McGregor, because I feel like not only that he's younger and he's more conditioned at this point, but here's the thing that really throws me off. It's like Mayweather is fighting in his environment. I mean, it's going to be a straight up boxing match. It's not going to be a UFC match. If it was a UFC match, it's McGregor all the way. But you know what? Mayweather, like, he built his career for a reason with boxing matches. So it's like you have to give him the advantage going into this match.
This is all I'm going to say. Floyd Mayweather is 49-0. He's 49-0. You don't win 49 fights out of luck, and you don't win out 49 fights by not being a good. Like, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
McGregor isn't gonna come in, and he's not going to beat. He's not gonna beat Floyd. There's just no way. Now, I will say this: McGregor. I honestly and truthfully think that where McGregor could win the fight is in the first few rounds, because McGregor throws all of his punches in the first few rounds, and I honestly could see the fight being a surprise. I could see McGregor surprising everybody, but at the end of the day, I do not see Mayweather winning, and I honestly could see the Mayweather McGregor fight being a bad fight. Look how bad Pacquiao Mayweather was. So
Yeah, but you know what? I think it's worth it just to see who wins in the end, because for months now the two have been going back and forth, taunting each other, making fun of each other. It's just going to be worth it to see somebody have to take that walk of shame after taking the L.
yeah, it will. But let's go back to Monday night. Let's talk more wrestling. Another thing that I don't know if it was announced today or if it was yesterday. Been super busy. JR and Lita will be covering the Mae Young Classic. I think it's a good call up. I know that they kind of, or sort of in some sort of way, let Lita go. I think she's a great voice. Her or Trish Stratus would be great. Obviously, Trish Stratus having her newborn. Unsupported resolution needed change. Oh, it looks like we have ourselves a streaming problem. But let me resolve that. But yeah, I think that it is absolutely great that we are going to be seeing those two calling the match. Anything with JR is outstanding, always.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because Lita kind of left the company abruptly. It wasn't something that was gradual; it just sort of happened. So it's interesting to see that they're actually asking her to come back, and they're putting her with JR. And honestly, the two haven't done anything together ever, to my knowledge. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of flow together. But of course, JR is gonna do his best to kind of carry her, because it's just JR is absolutely amazing with whoever he works with.
And one more thing before we get in depth with the Monday Night Raw review. Last thing here, and if anybody has not seen the recent Ring of Honor pay-per-view, please right now mute the live stream for about 10 seconds. You have 3, 2, 1. Congratulations to Cody Rhodes for winning the Ring of Honor World Championship and becoming the ROH champion. He is now, and I quote, he is now from Prince to King. It is well-deserved. Very, very well-deserved. So, let's get into the Monday Night Raw review. What did you think of Monday Night Raw altogether?
Altogether, I thought it was definitely an interesting night. I think they kept me entertained, which is interesting because there's always been a part of Monday Night Raw that's made me want to tune out in recent weeks. Not so much this week. This week it sort of kind of held my attention all the way through. Even if I was upset with certain parts of it, which we'll get into later, it's just it's good to kind of feel like I watched a decent show. When I'm so used to seeing crappy Monday Night Raws.
Absolutely, and the way it started off, obviously Roman coming to the ring. This is my yard now. I'm gonna throw you in the back of an ambulance. Oh, okay, Roman. And then Braun, roar! And of course, beautiful work there by Roman and Braun. As much as I don't like Roman, I am invested in the Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman feud. I am. I've enjoyed it. It's been very physical, which is something that is really nice to see. I mean, it really is. So,
well, at this point, you would say this is the end right here. This is the last match they're going to have for a while.
And I think that with the rumors I'm hearing, as I said at the top of the show, with the rumor being that Roman and Brock is going to happen a lot sooner than later. If that is true, then I think I'm not going to sit here and say that it's going to hurt Braun, because I don't think it has. I think Braun's going to have enough momentum even after to go into another program. But it's just I don't know who the program will be against. So I think it would be smarter for Braun to go after the title, because Braun is white hot. He's white hot. So
Well, I mean, and here's the thing. Like, I know they're trying to get Roman and Brock to kind of boost ratings, but I would save that for the pay-per-view you know he's going to be involved in, WrestleMania. I mean, let's be honest. You know Roman's going to either A, win the Royal Rumble or is going to be in WrestleMania in the main event somehow. And, you know, from what I heard about the plans before, it was to have Brock hold on to the championship until WrestleMania and then have Roman take it from him.
right.
So, you know, like, to kind of speed it up, I feel like it's a bad idea because, you know, I hate to admit it. Actually, I love to admit it. But Roman Reigns isn't as annoying as he used to be. I feel like that in part is because they're doing everything they can to kind of put him onto the back burner and keep him off this idea of being pushed. They're trying to like subtly push him to the point where the fans aren't catching on or trying not to catch on as much. So you got guys like Braun Strowman that are actually coming in and beating Roman Reigns, and I feel like it's helping him to a certain extent, and I feel like they're trying to keep with that formula until they get to that area where they can put him into the title picture. And I feel like if they try to expedite that process and get it to SummerSlam or Survivor Series, I feel like that's way too early to kind of push the idea. I feel like that will derail the positive feedback that Roman Reigns has been getting and sort of like really push him back even further into their good graces.
I will say Roman's promos, you know, him basically getting the people that are our age at, you know, 18 plus that aren't fans of Roman Reigns to boo him have been outstanding. Like, he has been doing really well, and I'm not sucking up because you can go into show. I mean, the best one to go to is the Royal Rumble. I think I went on a 25-minute like rampage on why I don't like Roman Reigns. So, I think it's smart. They're getting that part of the fan base involved, and then of course the fans that are like him, of course, going to cheer him.
Right.
So,
well, I kind of applaud the WWE because of what they did after WrestleMania. Because after WrestleMania, you heard it as much as I did.
Oh yeah.
How he couldn't even speak on the microphone without getting booed out of the building.
15 minutes.
15 minutes worth of boos, and like it was that bad. The people were so sore about Taker, and like I feel like I said, the idea of him being off television for a long time and sort of taking a back seat for a while, I feel like that's helped him, and like people are like kind of forgetting about him at the moment, which is good because now he's not getting as much heat as he was, and that really does help Roman Reigns because if they want him to get to the point where he needs to be, he can't be that guy who's getting pushed because they tried that and they saw the backlash for it.
15 minutes just to say this is my yard now.
Yeah. No, and what he's running with right now, I'm fine with. I really am.
Yeah.
It just, they got to stay consistent with it. And if they're going to push him back into the title picture, which I know they will at some point, I feel like it should be later rather than sooner. But who knows? We'll see what they do.
Again, I think with Braun being as white hot as he is, I think the smarter move would be to put Braun at that spot. But if they put Roman, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
If they do put Roman, it opens up the question of what's gonna happen for WrestleMania, and I think that's. I personally don't like knowing the day after WrestleMania what next year's WrestleMania plans are.
Right.
Especially when what they're saying is pretty spot on. So, I would rather not know until around the Royal Rumble what's going to happen with WrestleMania and who's it looking like they're going to face. Until then, I do not like knowing that, well, all year long Brock's going to win and at WrestleMania he's going to lose.
Right. Well, at the same time, I feel like they did that last year. And part of that wasn't their fault. I mean, with the Seth Rollins injury, we knew that wasn't going to end up main eventing, and we didn't know what was going on with the two championships, who was going to main event or anything until like much later. I would say like the earliest rivalry that we knew was going to happen was Goldberg Brock.
Yeah.
But we didn't know if it was going to main event.
That wasn't until November though.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I feel like they at least tried that last year, which is better off than the year before, which we kind of knew everything before. And like you can even argue previous years too with Rock Cena, we knew that from the start.
Yeah, absolutely. So to continue on with Raw, we had a triple threat match: Finn Balor and the Hardys versus Elias Sampson and the Raw Tag Team Champions of Cesaro and Sheamus. And I thought that the Hardys and Finn Balor looked absolutely really good. The crowd was actually really into it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, and when you get somebody as popular as Finn Balor with the Hardys, it really opens up those fantasy floodgates. Like, man, like to see those three together is exactly what the fans are looking for. It's something that you have never seen before and probably will never see again. In all honesty.
Yeah, and then probably, and this is I'm probably gonna be the only one here saying this, but probably my favorite thing going on Raw television right now: Goldust attacking R-Truth, and I mean, in just about the exact same outfit he wore when he debuted.
Yeah, I saw that. It's interesting. He's sort of bringing back the old Goldust. And like this wasn't the Goldust that came back and debuted at the Royal Rumble again back in the early 2000s. This is like the classic Attitude Era Goldust.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's wonderful for him because, like I said, he's not going to be somebody that's going to stick around for too much longer. I feel like he is somebody who's put in his time in the WWE, and I feel like he deserves more time before he goes. So, I mean, what he's doing is perfect. I actually would like to see him in a title picture, like a mid-card title picture. But, we'll see where that kind of goes. Because, like I said, I feel like with R-Truth and Goldust, their days are numbered. I don't see them sticking around the company for too much longer.
I just hope that if they do have a match at the Great Balls of Fire, that it's not on the pre-show. I want that to be on the actual show itself, and I want to see what they can do. The more likely to be on pre-show, people are going to probably say,
Well, I mean, in all honesty, and you and I both know it, if there is going to be a match between the two, it is most likely going to be a pre-show match.
Yeah. And the next segment that happened on Raw, I still don't understand why it happened. I still think it's a big joke. And that is Miz TV hosting the Ball family. I don't know. The Ball family has no business being on television. I mean, the only reason that they were there were to promote their T-shirt line, the Big Ball, whatever.
Right.
And I mean, first off, the youngest son is over there, tapping on the mic. This exact.
Yeah, that was annoying, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I'm just like, man, like you're making your family look dumb. Then LeVar Ball makes himself look like an idiot. I don't know what he's doing. And then Le'Veon Ball, it was just basically just sitting there. He's trying to be as professional as he could, obviously being a part of the Laker organization. I understand WWE putting in the process of saying, well, he's a Laker to give us some views and it'll put us out there, which it has. I've seen the segment with LeVar Ball basically being an idiot everywhere on social media. Everywhere.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, it's a bad move, and this is honestly when for Raw for me went downhill.
Yeah, it was kind of random. Like they always try to put forth some of those skits to kind of get more viewers and more likes and stuff, but I don't know. Like it just like he kind of had no place kind of messing with the Miz, And then, of course, Dean Ambrose is supposed to come out and save the day.
He didn't help that at all.
No.
It didn't help at all.
It's a shame, too, because we've kind of said it about Dean Ambrose, and I really hate to say it because, like, Dean Ambrose really has put in a lot of work, and he has produced good content before. But I don't know what it is, but ever since he's gotten that WWE Championship, his appeal for me has sort of went downhill. And I hate to say it because he's a good wrestler and he's entertaining at times, but like I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's the writing that has got to him, and it's just like they're not doing anything with him, or like is this sort of like showing that he's not ready to be a champion? Like I'm sort of confused or like conflicted. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because he's not the Dean Ambrose that I remember. Like the Dean Ambrose that I remember was that guy who worked really hard and he really like showed that he was ready for that position. And then as soon as he got it, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, this is awesome. He finally got there. Congratulations, Dean." And then it was kind of like, when's the next champion coming?"
Yeah. And this is one thing I love the name, absolutely, if you can't hear the sarcasm on my voice. The Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, and the Miz Taraj beat Dean Ambrose, Heath Slater, and Rhino. I think, first off, I want to talk about the Miz Taraj,
Okay.
whatever it is. I think it's good to see Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas on television. Those guys are a lot better than what they're getting.
But
But
I sense a butt coming.
I don't know why we're doing this. For some reason, WWE only wants one it couple, and that is going to be the Maria. What's her name? Last name?
Canales.
The Canellises, Mike and Maria Canellis. So they're going to get rid of this whole it couple and do the Miz Taraj stuff, which I think is dumb because Miz and Maurice are killing it. But, why not, right?
Yeah, they're going to do what they're going to do. I just don't see them taking something that's already established and you can say that there's only like room for one it couple, but at the same time, really think about it. This is just me like putting it out there. Those two groups are completely different in the way that they approach things.
Not to
Okay?
mention two separate brands, and the only time these two would ever see each other would be at the big pay-per-views. And I could see a
Right.
WrestleMania match happening if they were to continue doing the it couple, and I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, but they're two separate it couple brands. Like Miz and Maurice are sort of like this stuck up mean girls routine, where both of them think that they're better than anyone else or anything like that. Where Maria and Mike are sort of, they're kind of like the crazed lovers. Like, oh, I see them more of like a Joker and Harley Quinn combo, like where they're both kind of insane for each other, and only they can understand their insanity, and they're trying to kind of push their views on the other people. Like, so, like, they're two separate acts, but they don't want the idea of just one it couple.
So, of course, we get the Miz Taraj. And
Right, the Mistrage. Which, look, in all honesty, is fine that you're trying to give Axel and Bo screen time, but they've tried that before. And see, that's the thing that really drives me crazy. They put Bo and rebranded Bo, right? To make him more aggressive, and, I was all for it. I'm like, okay, more aggressive Bo, he's no longer a joke, he's not the inspirational guy that runs around the ring. I'm cool with that. I like this Bo better. But then you know what happened? Absolutely nothing. They just dropped it one day. He just disappeared off television. And now he's back, and he's sort of a mixture between the two.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, for me, like when you advertise stuff like that and then you take it away, that kills it for me. And you know what? It's not just them that they're doing it to. It's Ty Dillinger on SmackDown. I mean, how long has it been since we've really seen Ty Dillinger in anything on SmackDown?
What, since Backlash?
Yeah, it's right around since Backlash, the kickoff show. So, I mean, like, for me, it's like, I hate to see the talent being wasted. But, if you're going to put your time and money into investing in a character, I would stick with it for a while before you start recycling it. And that's what they did with Bo Dallas.
Yeah. I don't understand why Heath Slater and Rhino are Dean Ambrose's tag team partners. Like, can Dean...
I mean, why not? You got to put them on television.
Yeah, but can Dean not get anybody better? Like, no offense to those two, but there's other tag teams out there.
Is there? I mean, like Enzo and Cass are gone, so I mean,
Oh yeah, that is true. That's not like they can go. Honestly, there's only two face tag teams right now.
yeah,
The
yeah,
Hardcore and
and
those
Heath
two.
Slater and Rhino.
Wow, it's unbelievable. But speaking of Enzo and Cass, there's obviously a segment where Enzo came out, and I mean, if you want my honest thoughts on it, it sort of reminded me of a let's Big Cass cheated on you, but since you love this person so much, you're okay with it and you're willing to forgive. That's what that reminded me of. Like somebody just got cheated on, but it's like, well, I forgive you. I've been a bad person. I can change. It is my fault. And then, of course, Big Cass comes out, plays, the classic heel, I forgive you. And from the get-go, it was just like, we know what's happening. Like, you're about to beat the total hell out of Enzo. It's happening. And, of course, as soon as they get to the top of the ramp, Enzo's, excited. And you kind of see them, give that look, are you ready look? And then, boom, it happened.
Look, as long as it doesn't continue, I'm fine with it.
They're going to have a match at Great Balls of Fire, and Enzo's going to get destroyed.
I mean, there's no reason for Enzo to win that match, but, it's just, as long as they don't do what they did with Blake and Murphy on NXT, that was still one of the dumbest storylines ever. The two of them, we're breaking up. No, we're back together. Now we're breaking up again. We're back together. We're breaking up. We're back together. Like, every other week, they were either breaking up or back together. So, I mean, this is classic tag team, heel turn. You normally have the initial heel turn, and then they come back and we're just gonna work through it. We've worked through it. We're good. And then at the end of the match, the heel still turns his back on the face, no matter what.
I'm going to say this, and this is totally off topic. Murphy is actually really impressive in the ring, and his persona in NXT is actually really great. The forgotten secret or something like that. I really dig it because for Blake is getting another tag team opportunity, but Murphy's kind of there working the live events. So I really hope Murphy gets an opportunity.
Which is good for him. I mean, it's desperately what he needs.
Yeah.
I still think that I was still surprised that they broke those two up. I thought that they actually should have been brought up to the roster together.
Think about the tag teams at the time that were there. You had the Revival. Enzo and Cass were still sort of kind of there. American Alpha. DIY was kind of just forming. Authors of Pain. TM61. They really didn't need them. Plus,
I know they didn't need them, but I still feel like they should have held on to them because I don't know. It's just I look at what has happened, with all the injuries and stuff, and it's kind of like, wow, they really should have kept them just in case. And then at the same time, it's kind of like, all right, well, what have they really done individually? And the only person you could really say has done anything individually would be Murphy.
Are you sure? Well, I don't know. Murphy. I mean, the only time we've seen Murphy on television, or Buddy Murphy is the full name. Only time we've seen Buddy Murphy on television is when they had the NXT Australian tour, and they had that on television.
Right. But I mean,
get that cheap pop, which they didn't even know until he said, "From something Australian." You're, oh yeah, what, this guy's from Australia.
But I mean, in terms of the two, it seems like Murphy's getting more of the singles career. But it's just, for me, I felt like they were better as a tag team. I think they were really good when they had Alexa Bliss.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like
that group outstanding. That's where I really grew as a fan for Alexa Bliss.
Well, I mean, she reinvented herself towards their characters. She sort of took her entrance music and mixed it with Blake and Murphy's, which made it perfect. So I mean, it just, when it comes to these tag team breakups, I really get nervous about it. I've said it ever since they broke up, Enzo and Cass. I'm still nervous about the idea of them splitting up. I feel like it's too early, and I feel like they're making a huge mistake with it.
As
And I mean, I could be wrong, and we could get lucky, and Cass becomes the next big star, whatever. But I feel like in the long run, it's more likely that they're going to both crash and burn, more so advance.
as I said last week, they both made each other's weaknesses. Where they were weak, the other one was strong at.
Yeah,
So.
and that's what made Enzo and Cass good. And like it didn't matter that Enzo couldn't wrestle as good as Cass, or like he couldn't really hold his own. It was because Enzo like would lift him up with the trash talk, and Cass would sort of back it up for him.
Well, I recently went back and watched the NXT takeover in London, and watched the Revival and Enzo and Cass match, and this is actually before they were called the Revival, and 100%. It was outstanding. Enzo held his own. I don't understand why we can't have this anymore, but who am I to say anything? But moving on with Monday Night Raw, Seth Rollins defeats Kurt Hawkins. Kurt Hawkins, nothing big there. Obviously promoting more of the video game, as of course whenever Seth Rollins, the image hits, it's him doing the game, with the game and stuff. So. Another one is, and obviously Bray Wyatt coming with another big promo, but another big thing is Brock Lesnar coming to call out Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe nearly chokes Brock Lesnar out. From the image you see actually on your television, I mean, his face is purple. And I didn't want it to stop because of how physical it was getting. Brock throwing Samoa Joe into the...
in the Titantron or screen area.
It was so good. I didn't want it to stop, but of course it stops. And I'm telling you, these two need to wrestle more. I hope it's not a one and done. I really do hope it happens again because these two are money.
Oh yeah, 100%. And what makes the appeal so much better is the idea that people have always wanted these two to go at it, and we're finally getting it. And it's interesting because we've kind of seen Cena and Brock and Orton and Brock and like Goldberg and Brock. These are all matches that we really wanted to see with Brock Lesnar. And then we finally get Samoa Joe, and it's kind of like, these two really have the ability to really sell this match. And both of these guys are made for each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, Brock has that UFC background. Samoa Joe has that mixed martial arts background. It's like the two are just two gigantic people. And both of them have dominated the world of professional wrestling in some way or another. So for the two of those titans to kind of come together, oh man, it's going to be so good. I really, really am sold on the idea, and I cannot wait for 2 weeks where these two finally get a chance to get at each other.
And if you want me to be honest, one thing I am absolutely loving about this feud right now is that there's not that face, like, good guy / bad guy feel. Like, it feels it's a big fight.
Oh, yeah. These are just two people that absolutely hate each other. We could toss out the idea of face, heel. I mean, they're both heels.
Yeah,
I mean,
they both want to fight. And it's outstanding. I love what they have going right now.
And of course, Paul Heyman is doing his absolute damnedest to make the promotion, 10 times better.
Yeah, I think that Great Balls of Fire will actually be good because of those two.
I definitely think it's going to be the most anticipated match on the card, 100%.
Yeah.
And like next to Braun and Brock, or Braun and Roman in that ambulance match. It will be a good match. It really will. Ambulance matches are really good.
Braun, tune into our prediction show to find out. Whenever that happens. But Cruiserweight Champion Neville defeats Lince Dorado with Akira Tozawa at ringside, and the Titus O'Neil brand, Titus brand, ringside.
Titus Worldwide.
Or
it's not the Titus brand anymore. It's Titus Worldwide.
Titus Worldwide VIP section, and Titus comes out. I mean, in all honesty, it was a great way to get the crowd to boo him. Why are you guys going to fight for free when you guys have the match for pay-per-view? Outstanding. Great stuff.
Right. Well, see, this is where I'm kind of conflicted on this. So Akira Tozawa is now officially part of this little mock faction. We got Apollo Crews, we got Akira Tozawa, and we got Titus O'Neil, all falling under this idea of the Titus Titus Worldwide, right?
Mm.
Or this Titus brand, and you know, with the two of them in a ring, it's like Tozawa's still kind of a face, and Neville's the heel, but he's sort of running with a heel faction at this point. So it's kind of like, all right, well, do we got two heels going after each other, or is it like a face and a heel situation? Like, what is it?
Right. Honestly, they're treating it how it should be treated. It's being treated as a brand, and they're not letting in all honesty, as somebody that is looking for the money in this, Titus is playing it smart. Of course. Why? He's playing the Paul Heyman. Why in the world would I let you guys wrestle or fight for free when you guys are gonna make money and do it at pay-per-view? Don't give these people anything for free.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know what? This is probably the best role for Titus at this point. Not that he can't wrestle, and not that he shouldn't wrestle. It's just he's doing really good.
He's good on the mic.
On the mic, so if he's really doing good with it, let him roll with it for a little bit. And if you get bored of it, put him in a few matches.
And Juan says that he's excited for Brock versus Joe and Roman versus Braun. Couldn't agree more. I think those two matches could be good matches. Again, I think you said earlier.
And it's funny too because, like I said earlier, we don't normally say that about Roman Reigns. We're not always saying we're excited for a Roman Reigns match, but they've done such an excellent job building this up and getting us ready for it that we are excited for Roman and Strowman.
It's been a good feud / build up.
Yeah.
And obviously the main event being the women's gauntlet #1 contenders match. And I have my ups and downs about this. My downs, the big ones are, for one, I'm going to talk Bayley.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like we need to talk Bayley because what happened tonight is super important with Bayley.
So Bayley maybe went 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, at most. And then she got squashed by Nia Jax.
And at
the first one eliminated.
Match, if anybody remembers Eugene, anytime Eugene was in that ring or being confronted, Eugene looks terrified. Bayley looks terrified every time she's in the ring with Nia Jax. She looks like Eugene. She looks terrified anytime she's in the ring with anybody. It has been awful. What happened to this really friendly person, but if you mess with her, she's not afraid to beat the crap out of you? Because she wasn't NXT.
They've really destroyed her character. I mean, I feel like at this point, our greatest fears have come true. I mean, like when Bayley first got drafted to the main roster, brought up to the main roster, that was our biggest fear, and that's the thing we said. If you go back and watch the shows from when she first appeared or was brought up, that was the first thing you said. I'm more worried about how she was being booked. And what we ended up saying is eventually, what they're planning on doing is making her the next John Cena, which is essentially what they were trying to do with Roman Reigns, it wasn't a bad idea because of her merchandise sales and how good she was doing.
And I'm going to interrupt you here. And if people are going to say the whole, of course the guys aren't going to like her, this, watch NXT.
Well, yeah,
we
watch
all
NXT.
Loved her.
Yeah.
Now when I hear that music hit, it's just like, God.
Well, it's just because they overbooked her and pushed her to that extreme, and the worst part about it is they're not booking her well. They are booking her and making her look terribly weak.
Yeah.
They're really trying to do that, comeback story, and it's not working because they're making her lose everything.
Yeah. Who in the world is because let's say Sasha wins, right?
Mm.
Who in the world is going to believe that Sasha Banks versus Bayley is going to be legitimate?
At this point, it would be ridiculous. Which is a shame because Sasha and Bayley tore the house down in Brooklyn, a year ago?
Match of the year in 2015.
Yeah. So I mean, it's terrible to see that this is where it's come because everyone's so excited for Bailey versus Sasha, and I honestly don't know if I'm ready to see it based off of what I've seen so far. Um, I'll be honest with you. If anything, I'm more excited for Sasha Bliss.
Mm-hmm.
We never really got to see that in NXT.
No, it didn't.
I mean, let's be honest. We never really got to see it because Alexa Bliss wasn't really treated like a main event talent, which she really is. I mean, I would go out and say that she's probably one of the best female heels in the company right now.
I would honestly probably say she's the best. Right. Uh, her and Nia Jax can throw up because Nia Jax is I mean I hate Nia Jax. I really do.
Well, I know how you feel about Nia Jax, and it's a shame to really say like what we say about her and like how, but it's so true. How it's so hard for the women to work with her, and like a part of it has to deal with, the fact that she's just a bigger woman. Not that she's overweight or anything. We're not saying that. It's just she's a bigger woman, and
Nothing negative
whenever you
against
get like a tall woman, yeah, well, yeah, it's just when you get a tall woman who, it's the same with the men though. If you really think about it, it's the same with the men. Whenever you get the bigger guys, like the big shows, and you get like the smaller guys, like Rey Mysterio's, you get those really weird David and Goliath matches, and they just aren't entertaining.
Well,
So when
okay.
you had like Rey Mysterio versus Kali or Big Show, it was just never good.
And this is going to be for the people that are that are going to play that PC role and look at us like that. For the wrestling fans, imagine Neville. I'm going to try to put it in this roster. Imagine putting Austin Aries or Neville versus Big Show or Braun Strowman. It'd be a very boring match and it'd be very one-sided.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. And essentially, the thing that Nia Jax has to contend with, and it's sort of like they make note of it on Raw. Like Alexa Bliss coming up and saying, "Hey, we both have to deal with this idea that people like look at us and judge us automatically." And I feel like that really did. I feel like that really did make a little call out to that. But it's the idea. Look at where Nia Jax is. It has nothing. Like with her size and intensity, it's just like there's just nobody that can match her. And it's just like you just watch what she did tonight. She mowed down what 5 other women before
Bayley,
getting to Sasha and then
women's
losing.
champion in 5 minutes. Uh, Dana Brooke.
Dana Brooke in 30 seconds.
Emma in about a minute. Who else?
Mickey James
Mickey
and
James in around 3 or 4 minutes.
a 5-time women's champion, I think 5 or 6, one of the two.
And then Sasha Sasha Banks came in, who, by the way, lost to Alicia Fox pinned her clean about a month ago, beating her.
Right. And and it wouldn't be the first time that Nia Jax has squashed Sasha Banks in the ring either. But it's just I knew that when Sasha Banks was last that she was going to win it, especially because they were kind of working it up that it was going to be her and Bliss, which I'm fine with. I like the idea. It's something I haven't really seen before. I'm all for it. But the way in which that match went, I feel like they handled it really well, and I want to really address that because before, when Nia Jax was running roughshod through the women, I was really displeased, especially with how quick people like not Nia Jax, people like Dana Brooke, how they got eliminated right away.
Mm-hmm.
I did not like the idea. Like the Samoan drop is not her finisher.
No,
Let me put that out there. It's the leg drop. I don't even think we've seen the leg drop tonight. It was just Samoa drop, pin, Samoa drop, pin, Samoa drop, pin. I was just getting so annoyed with that. Like, it's not her finisher, but she's putting people out in 30 seconds with this finisher. This quote-unquote finisher.
Right.
But, at least with the Nia Jax-Sasha match, at least they did what they could to sort of, like, bring it back. Yeah, Sasha got tossed around. That always happens, but you're facing Nia Jax. You have to expect that. It's like Braun Strowman. You're going to see Braun Strowman toss around whoever he's facing for like 30 minutes before the face comes back and does a flurry. It's to be expected. But the way in which Sasha sort of hung in there and kind of made it all believable, getting up and choking her from behind and bringing her back down, forcing her down to the ground. It's that inverted bank statement. Like, I really applaud with how they handled that match towards the end. I feel like even though it was kind of rough to start, I feel like the ending of that match or the finish of that match was actually on point. I feel like they brought it back, and it might be too little, too late in that circumstance, but I still feel as if it's much better that they actually did bring it back at the end, even if it was too late.
I will say the ending did save that match. I think Sasha is playing the underdog, of course, really helped her case. And I really do think that the ending of that match saved her, or saved that entire match.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
But, and that really does it for Monday Night Raw. Obviously, number one, storylines will be starting with Sasha and Alexa Bliss, but it was kind of, was expected with how these two were kind of going face to face with each other in promos. So it could be something good. I don't know who will win. If the plan is still to do a Sasha versus Bayley type of match in the future,
Mm-hmm.
They gotta make Bayley look stronger than what she already is.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of effort, though, in my opinion, to sort of get her to where she's supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So, at the end of the day, your final thoughts on Raw?
I definitely think Monday Night Raw is definitely doing well in terms of turning around the content. I feel like I said before, it caught my interest, which is something that Raw hasn't really done in a while. So, I would say, like, overall, give it like a 7. I mean, it might be generous. 6.5, 7. And just in the fact that it kept me entertained. I mean, we had 3 hours, and it's always the hardest 3 hours of the week. But for me not to fall asleep during it, that's exceptional. Or not to feel like I want to fall asleep. So, I applaud them for that for that idea.
Yeah, I think a 7 is actually kind of fair to give them. I'm not gonna disagree. I think a 7 is good. I think SmackDown has their work cut out for them tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And
we really need to pay attention to tomorrow because that Money in the Bank match,
And I do.
And you know what? That better main event. I really want that the main event.
I'm telling you right now, it's either going to open or it's going to main event.
It should main event.
There's no way they're going to put it in the middle.
No.
But I do have a feeling that there's going to be something to happen that's going to make people not like it. I have that feeling.
Like another James Ellsworth coming out.
Something along the lines that's going to make it where people are going to be like, why even put it on TV? Like it was, something bad.
Right.
So, with that being said, tomorrow we'll be live with the SmackDown Live review. Immediately following SmackDown, and as always, be sure to tune in tomorrow after SmackDown. Peace out.